a chance to look at that, and if there are no changes or corrections, entertain a motion to approve. We have a motion, Ms. Tommy Ruth.
Second.
Second, Mr. Sermons. Any further discussion? Not will call for the question. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Number 3, the minutes for the September 10th meeting and for our fall retreat, which was held at Wiregrass Technical College on September 25th. Chair will entertain a motion to approve this review.
So moved.
Second motion, Mr. Lanier, second, Mr. Strickland. Any further discussion? Not call for the question. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Superintendent information, Mr. Hunt.
Thank you. The first thing that we have is some information. There are a couple of pictures, a little blurb on our Parent Resource Center. I would encourage you to take a minute before you leave and go back and take a look. It's in the back left-hand corner, right across from Mr. Charlie's office. Go back there and take a look. That has been set up as our resource center. You see a couple of pictures there just to kind of give you an idea of flavor. We have all kinds of games that parents can come and look at with their children. They can check these out and utilize the internet. There's a computer set up there. They set up an appointment with Tara. This is also right across from her office. And we've had a steady stream of parents coming in to utilize it. So checking out, using these games and learning games, learning activities. And also they have access to a computer if they need one. But go back and take a minute to look at that. A lot of effort's been put into that. I have a copy of a letter that Superintendent Barge sent that was from the Attorney General, and basically just reaffirming what you already know, and that has to do that local government entities cannot use any kind of public funds to influence elections in any way. We already know that. We've discussed that before, and I don't know that anybody is doing that, but he did send that out, and I wanted to make you aware of his opinion. He did, on that last page, that last paragraph, mention something about local school boards that had violated this prohibition. We certainly have not. And he would provide the advice regarding that in a subsequent letter. So whenever we get a subsequent letter, we'll share that with you. I'm not sure if there may have been boards that have crossed that line. We certainly have not. We have also some ball schedules, some basketball for the high school, and baseball and middle school schedules that are there just for you to take note of. If those are updated, I'll give you an updated one. Hopefully it won't change as much as girls softball did this year due to the crazy weather that we had. If no questions at this point, we'll move to Ms. Strickland, who has a report that she needs to share with you.
It's okay, I'll just stand here. I just have a brief update that I need to share with you for special education, our disproportionality notification for this year. We've had this for a couple of years, and I've provided an update each year. But each year in October, we have to do a special education count of students that we send to the State Department. And last October, we sent that count, and based on that count, this year we were identified as being disproportionate with special education once again. Based on the students in ages 6 through 21, we reported 148 students last year. Of those 148 students, 47 of them are black students, which equates to 31.7% of our special education population. Within special ed, we have different eligibilities and exceptionalities, and we were identified as being disproportionate within our intellectual group, which is our mild, moderate, severe, and profound group of students. We have 34 students in that group, and of those 34 students, 22 are black students, which gives us a percentage of 64.7%. So you can see that that's where our discrepancy comes into play, is that we have 64.7 black students within that intellectual group. When you compare it to our overall population of 31.7%, we have a difference of 33%. I will say that every 3 years we reevaluate students and we make sure that their exceptionalities are appropriately as they are. We've struggled with this for several years, and because of the finding of disproportionality, we have to spend 15% of the special education budget on early intervention of regular education students. Not on special ed students. What we're doing is trying to provide early intervention for regular students to hopefully allow them not to have to be placed in special education at a later date. That equates to about $45,000 of the special ed budget, and this year we used that money to hire Carolyn Birch. She's working 49% for us, and her salary encompasses about $30,000. And then the remainder of that money, we are offsetting Robin Keller's salary, and she is working 22% of her day with early intervening services. We are in the FTE count again right now, and the report that we will submit this month will determine our disproportionality for next year. And at this point, I'm not sure where we stand, but with the discrepancy being about 33%, just kind of being realistic, it looks like we may be here for a little bit of time unless they change the formula as to the calculations. But wanted to let you know how we are spending that money, and that we do have that this year.
And you were saying that we're reevaluated every 3 years. Is that
the students?
That student population is reevaluated every 3 years?
All students who are in special education and have an eligibility, they are reevaluated every 3 years. And we have monitored closely the mild and moderate, particularly because we have struggled with disproportionality before. But what we do is every 3 years, they either have a full reevaluation, or we look at data that we can just bring to the table. Sometimes we'll do a screening of the students to see if they're still in need of special ed services. And so...
Do you see much movement, kids coming in or out of those 3 years?
We don't see students coming out because the mild intellectual disability category is a 70 IQ, and it goes lower from that point. And there's not typically another eligibility that they can go into if they come out of that unless they have another disability. So oftentimes they remain in the program, because if we found them ineligible, then they would receive nothing as far as extra services. And we always have to ask the question at the end of an eligibility meeting, is this a student who would still be in need of special ed services? And if they have had it for multiple years, if they've had accommodations, generally they remain in the program, unless there's another exceptionality that they can go into. And there's others such as emotional behavior disorder, specific learning disability, other health impaired. There's other areas that they can go into, and we do try to place them in those areas when we can, but then we also want them to be in the program where they're best identified and their needs can be met. But this particular category is one that we've struggled with for several years as far as our disproportionality. But we are monitoring it, and basically what helps us is when students of other races come in, it helps to offset that percentage. Other questions?
Are there other questions? Ms. Strickland. Okay. We'll move down to action items. Here come library board appointments.
Yeah, I should have inserted the public, this is for the public library board, the local board. It seems that Ms. McCree came to me a few weeks ago and said that this board was not functioning appropriately, and so she has been on the board in the past, and so she had, I think, approached the city and the county commissioners and us because we are to appoint people to be on this board. It meets 4 times a year, and so she went over some names of folks with me, basically some retired teachers that we thought might serve, and then some folks that were just retired from our community that might have time to go. And she kind of struck out on most of those and kind of wound up back with herself and said, well, you know, I told them that I would serve for a year, just so that you'd have somebody on there that kind of knows the way things are supposed to go. And she had asked Tara, who works with our parent involvement and with the literacy committee here in our community, if she would be that second person that our board would appoint. So basically, this is 4 meetings a year, and of course, Ms. McCree is retired, but Tara works for our system. So I felt like if they were willing to serve, Ms. McCree has served before, Tara has not, but she's willing to do so, then I would make that recommendation to you.
Okay. Have a recommendation from the superintendent. I'll open it up from the floor. Is there any discussion or recommendations from the floor? Now, Chair, would entertain a motion to approve those as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Strickland, second, Mr. Locklear. Any further discussion? Now we'll call for the question. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Personnel, contract services, Mr. Humphrey.
This is actually a paraprofessional for special education. It's a position that we're having to add because of the need in this resource room at the primary school. And this young lady, Ms. White, has already been serving there as a substitute teacher. She was already approved as a substitute teacher, and so she's already in there daily as a substitute. But she has now, all of her paperwork, certification, everything has been completed. We want to recommend that she be hired as a paraprofessional.
That's correct. Jump in.
Okay. Have a recommendation, Mr. Humphrey. Any other discussions? Not, Chair, to entertain a motion to approve.
So
Have a motion, Mr. Sermons.
Second.
Second, Mr. Locklear. Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not, we'll call for the question. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Charlie?
Well, we're moving right along. Can y'all believe it's quarter of the year is already over? Seemed like we were just getting started the other day, but we've been working hard to get last year's financials closed out and submitted, and we did get those submitted the other day. September 30th, 25% of the year complete. Of course, we know our local revenue will be coming in later on in the year, but our expenditures are slightly below the 25%, which is what we want to see, and our cash is still in good shape. We're finishing up the FY12 federal grants go through September 30th, so we got all those closed out. And, we'll be getting those completion reports done this month, so money will be coming in to reimburse the system for those expenditures. And, that's about it. I called Rebecca the other day and she was out to see about a tax digest. Have you heard anything by chance? I haven't either. I'll give them a call again and see if I can find out what's going on with our tax
They had a
digest.
software problem, weren't they?
Yeah, that's right. They did tell me that. They have switched over some software up there at the tax assessor's office and they hadn't got the numbers put together, so, how do you say that? They're not waiting on us, we're waiting on them. And, as soon as I get that, we can go ahead and set our millage rate and everything will go on from there.
So our fund equity balance, I'm just curious.
Right now, it's right at $4.3 million. I don't report that, monthly. We do the expenditures and the revenue and expenditures, but, you know, it changes as the month to month, but we did just close out and it was 4.3 for ending FY12. Of course, that'll dip down a little bit till we start getting our local revenue in, which comes in December.
I think this year's budget shows us dipping into that.
Yeah, the way that we have our budget, the revenue is budgeted at 12.8, the expenditures are 3.2, so we're actually going into it about 400,000, which we were anticipating doing that because we had saved some of the money that we had received through some of the federal stimulation money, and because we knew that we were going to have some extra money in the past couple of years that we're not going to have in the next couple of years. So to even that out, that's how we, been doing our budget.
Okay, any questions? They're always too easy on Charlie. They come up with some questions.
He did, there was a question that came up at the meeting the other night about fund balance, about using some of that to pay off. If you remember, we showed the payments on the bond. If we were to use that to pay that off earlier, to make an early payment, would that cost us any money? And I think I told you that particular day we were waiting for Bank of America to give us an answer, and I think the answer was not a good one. The truth is that yes, it would cost us to the tune of, if you paid, you'd have to pay the whole thing off and reschedule, set it up, and it would be
Like $1.2 million.
over $1 million to pay it off early.
When we
And a
issued
penalty.
when we issued those bonds to build that new school, we went out over 12 years, and that bank sold those financial instruments to those investors, and they were expecting that return over 12 years, so there is a penalty to pay that off early. And at the time, we had no idea the federal government was going to print some money and send it to us, and so
But we didn't know about the stimulus.
we had no
Right.
idea about
And
stimulus
we didn't
money
know
at the
that
time.
we'd be able to carry over federal dollars from one year to the next like we've been able to. So
Exactly. At the
That's
time
probably
we issued that
$2
debt, we
$2 million. Right?
were trying to get a principal and interest payment around $1 million a year, because that was the maximum that we could afford at the time. And as the next couple of years progresses, it'll be the maximum that we can afford again.
So normally they will not allow you to take federal dollars and supplant local dollars, but in this particular instance, they waived that ruling, and they said because of the economy, you could do that. So you could take that federal money and you could spend it in lieu of your local money and bankroll your local money, which is what we did, which is why our fund balance went up significantly. We're not allowed to do that normally.
And this year's budget, we also we had a benefit of when they redone the equalization formula. we had an extra $600,000 because we are a low wealth system. And, you know, we've had some very beneficial things happen to us in the last couple of years. And,
So payment on the note's a 12-year note?
It's a bond.
Yeah.
It's sold on 12 years.
Yeah.
And we call the question, be the resolution for 12 years.
Okay,
We paid 3 and we're,
only 9 more to go.
so it started out at about 12.
well, no, started at,
It was
8.
9.
8 million was the
Yeah.
first issuance, then we issued another million, so it was 9
Yeah,
total.
9.3.
Where,
We had 9 years, we got 9 years to go. So it's right around 9
9
million.
million.
We've just been paying interest.
But if you were to,
We've made a couple of principals.
right, if you pay it off the whole thing early to receive, the penalty would be just over $1 million. Because, you know, it'd be nice to think, well, you take some of that fund balance and make an early payment, and help yourself out, but because of the way it's structured, we can't do that. And that was the question that came up the other night, that we had gotten an answer for.
okay. Any more questions? All right, I think that's all we have. And do we have anyone here for any public comments? If not, we will need to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion, Mr. Strickland, a second, Mr. Lanier. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all.